Hey, good afternoon. Doing the Robert Jeter Show, Blues in the News, coming to you. It's 12:15. I plan to do this little 15-minute gig. 15 minutes of my 2 cents, I think is what I'm pushing it as. Just getting on the air every day, at least Monday through Thursday. But 15 minutes, just relieving my anxieties over what's going on in the world, basically. This is more for my benefit than anybody else's. Yeah, it's a pretty nice day in Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia right now. It's sunny, a little cool, but, spring is on the way. It's May Day today. I think that's what I entitled this podcast, Happy May Day. A lot of people in the United States don't know the significance of May Day in Europe, especially in Eastern Europe, where it was a big, I think it was called the International Workers' Party Day or something like that, where a lot of the communist countries would celebrate May Day as a big celebration for the communist workers. And I was even looking up Russia. I was wondering what's going on with Russia. It seems like they have a big parade on May the 9th, which is like the victory day for World War II, but with everything that's going on in the Ukraine, I'm not sure whether they canceled that parade or they're still going to have it. I'm not sure. I didn't really get a clear indication when I Googled it just now. But anyway, it's May. It's spring. A lot of people give certain flowers out on May Day and celebrate spring. So it's a good day, a good day to for renewal. Let's say that, because spring is sort of symbolizes, renewing things. So we need to renew the world, if you ask. We need to renew it from this mess we're in. It's talking about Russia and Ukraine. It seems like, if you listen to, the authorities here in the United States, Ukraine's got their upper hand, and they'll eventually, win Russia, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. And in fact, I think Russia's winning. They say it's like 7-1 that the soldiers die on the Ukrainian side, 7-1 soldiers from Russia. Zelensky is in a hard place. I don't think he's going to last much longer. I was listening to, there's a guy I listen to on YouTube. I get a lot of my news now on YouTube. Maybe a lot of people on social media, they go to for the news because, the big networks, especially after Tucker got kicked out of Fox, a lot of people are going online. And so I go online, and a lot of YouTube podcasts I listen to. One guy's name is Stephen Gardner. He's a pretty good guy. He's sort of objective. He gives you, gives you the facts, and then he has interviews with certain people. I know he had a brief interview with a CIA agent and said Zelensky basically, when he got votes when he first, campaigned for better relations with Russia. Well, how did that work out? And it seems like he's towing a line now between. There is a Nazi element in Ukraine. Ukraine has never been very nice to the Jews. Because they do have that Nazi element, and he's towing the line between this Nazi element, these hardliners who probably want to bomb Moscow, which would cause World War III, and the UN. And of course, the UN wants to keep the war going for their own benefit, I guess. And now it seems like because Zelensky can't depend on the United States for peace talks, because I think he realizes the jig is up. I think he realizes the writing is on the wall. So he's looking for ways out, but the United States and the UN don't want it because they have their own interest in Ukraine. So he's gone out to the Chinese. So how about that? So the Chinese are doing diplomacy where normally we would do it, but because we've lost our prestige, China's picking up the ball and running with it. And so he's probably trying to make a deal with China. Of course, China would come in. China would be happy to come into Ukraine with their money and, like they do it throughout a lot of places in the world and, build up, loan the money, build up their enterprises, their businesses, and take over the country, more or less. Like they've almost taken over this country. So that's where we are in Ukraine. And of course, it's a very dangerous situation because if, like, they tried to, I think they shot at flew a drone out, tried to assassinate Putin himself the other day. But thank goodness they missed him. Think what would have happened if they had actually killed Putin. They could have started a third world war. So, and they wanted to attack Russia, Moscow itself, and the UN stepped in and said, "Hey, I wouldn't go that far because nukes are not a nice thing to play around with." So the world could blow up only by the grace of God. Only by the grace of God, this world is still sticking together. So anyway, happy May Day. With that, I'll play a little bit more music because I do try to play a little music as well. This is one that's doing pretty good out there. Too much news.
Seemed like reason out the door. Common sense you can't find no more. And I guess we're gonna need somebody with a master plan. Guess we're gonna need somebody take us to the promised land. Need change, but it's your mind you must rearrange. Too much greed, there's too much hate, but not much time to change our fate. And I guess we're gonna need somebody with a master plan. Guess we're gonna need somebody to take us to the promised land.
Yeah, so here we are. So I was just thinking about May Day, how it's traditionally maybe the first day where we start to celebrate spring, but we live in a very ominous times as well. So we need to be positive, think positive, and hope things work out for the better. Like I said before, only by the grace of God is this world still together. There's so much nefarious stuff going on in the background. It really is too much news. Sometimes you can't deal with it. And we have, our institutions need to be reformed. We need so much reform. I see in Israel, they're trying to reform the judicial system because the institutions there and here have become corrupt. So what can we do? Keep praying. Keep praying. And what else is there in the news recently, since this is sort of more or less a news and blues show? I guess I should, tell you what's going on in the news really briefly, because I'm only going to do this for 50 minutes, right? Well, it seemed like one of the headlines is the Hunter story. There's been so much, like I said, so many scandals on the left from a conservative point of view anyway. How did they get away with it? You know what I mean? They do what they want to do. It's a double standard. They can prosecute Trump all they want to, and they do whatever they want to do to try to get Trump in jail, but heaven forbid you mention anything about Biden or his family. But it's gotten so bad, especially with the House now under Republican control, the Hunter, especially Hunter's Biden's son, Biden, Joe Biden's son. What I'm saying, he's feeling the heat. In fact, he's hiding out in the White House, isn't he? All over this story with somebody I guess he had an affair with. I don't think she was a stripper or something. Anyway, they had a love child, and of course he doesn't want to face up to the facts, so he's hiding out in the White House. But they're coming down on him, and then you got the laptop is out there. So I think eventually, God willing, justice will be served, because if man doesn't serve justice, God will, and you don't want God to get involved because he's pretty dynamic when he makes a move, if you know what I mean, Jelly Bean. And then what else we got going on? Of course, Trump and DeSantis. That's continues to be a fight between the two, but Trump is way ahead of DeSantis. And if I would like to see DeSantis as vice president with Trump, I really would, because it would stop the fighting between the two. And I don't always agree with Trump going after DeSantis very hard, but he's a fighter. He knows DeSantis is trying to make a play, and Trump likes people to be loyal to him. And often the case, they're not loyal to him. So he goes after them when they're not loyal to him. If I were DeSantis, I would call up Trump and say, okay, let's make a deal. I'll be your vice president. I'll be nice to you. You be nice to me. You be president from 2024 for 4 more years. I'm still a young guy. Maybe I'll pick up the mantle after that and run it for another 8 years. And we'll have 12 years in this country, a conservative leadership. I mean, it will take that long at least to undo everything Joe Biden has done and Obama before him. But Obama in the last year and a half, almost 2 years now, it's crazy. It's crazy, and I just hope and pray that we can get out of it. But anyway, it's sunny here in Atlanta, Georgia. Enjoy the weather wherever you are. Enjoy today. It's a new week. Be positive. Think positive. Spread the light wherever you can, because we need to spread the light, basically. You're on the Robert Jeter Show, Blues in the News. Call me anytime, 404-388-0089, and we'll talk about it.
On 9/11, nearly 3,000 souls lost their lives. On a hijacked plane, some of our brave men, they fought back and died. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, on Flight 93, let's roll with some time, Beamer Stream. They crashed near Shakespeare, what a horrific scene. Don't forget 9/11 and remember